G'day, I'm Dean and this is our Matrix Caravan. So we're going to do a run through for people looking to hire the van, what they need to look out for, and hopefully give you enough information that you'll have a trouble-free holiday. So we'll start at the front. This van has a DO35 coupling, so that makes life really easy. You've got to have the DO35 tow ball to go with that. In regards to hooking it up, we have a 12-pin male plug. So your car needs to either have a 12-pin flat like this, or you need, if you've got a 7-pin flat, you need an adapter to go from 7-pin flat to 12-pin. So that'd be a male 7-pin to a female 12-pin to adapt this to the car. Other than that, we have two other things to hook up here. So this red one here is for the stability control. So this van runs a complete stability control system. So that'd be great if you've got the red Anderson plug to plug that in. If not, you're traveling like any other standard van without stability control. So the electric brakes will still work because they come through here, but the stability control won't work unless you've got this red Anderson plug plugged in. The grey Anderson plug is to charge the batteries while you're on the go, while you're driving along. This van has 4 batteries, so each 120 amp hours, as well as 300 watts of solar. So even without this plugged in traveling, we've never ran out of power with the 12 watt system that it has, and we've been on the road 6 months at a time. This plug here is for the Safety Dave camera. That is available if you let me know that you would like to use it. We have the Safety Dave that we can run through your car, and you can have a screen to see the rear view of the van. So that's the front here. Single jockey wheel. That's a standard jockey wheel. I don't think we need to run through too much about that. It's just wind up, wind down, and releasing it at the back here. You take this off completely once you're onto your vehicle, and we stow that in the toolbox just here. So next thing is moving on to the gas bottles. There's 2 gas bottles. What we do is it's switched over to a gas bottle to begin with. If that runs out, all we ask is that you refill that one and switch it over to the other one and leave it like that. So rather than charging people gas, we just do it, if one runs out, just fill that one, refill that one and switch it over to the other one, and you're good to go. Moving around the van, we have the stabilizer legs. So with the stabilizer legs, to release, just pull that and swing it down into position, and it hooks down, and you use the winder to wind that up or down. Very important that these are just to stabilize, not to lift or level the van. So they're in the front box. There's some ramps so that you can level the van left to right using the ramps, and these are just purely just to stabilize. So once you've got it down to the ground, you stop turning. Otherwise you'll strip the gears in it and then be up for another leg. So just remember, these are for stabilization only, not for lifting the van. Moving on to here, we have our barbecue, slide out barbecue. So with all these boxes, when you're traveling, you need to have them locked, key locked, not just locked, because these can vibrate loose and come open if they're not locked. So these latches just turn like that. In here, we release this pin and slide that forward, and we slide it all the way out. Then with our gas fitting, we come around to here. If you want to have a look under here, it's a standard bayonet fitting, so it's push and twist. So it pushes up and then twists around to lock in, and that's the plug there. There's also underneath the van here a valve to shut the gas off. So generally I shut the gas off at the front. I don't really use this one, but if it's not working, it may be that somebody who has hired it before you has switched that gas off. So that's something to look out for. So to pack it away, simply pull your cable up out of the way. That slides in, and when you get to here, lift this latch and lock that down. It's a piezo ignition, so you can just turn the knob and it'll light up automatically. So that's that box. Close that, and again, get in the habit locking those before you travel. So moving on, you've got external speakers here. The stereo can go inside or outside, and that's just by balancing the front to rear fade on the stereo system inside. Also here you have a 12-volt socket if you wanted to power anything up from the 12-volt externally. And if you're plugged into the mains power, this gives you an extra socket externally if you want to run any 240-volt items on this side. Here we have a fold-down table, so that comes down here, folds down and clicks in, and that's it. Important when you're packing this up, you must pull these up first before trying to lift it, otherwise you will break it. These come down, push into place, and then push up. Okay, so coming around to the rear, there is an external shower, hot and cold tap, so if you wanted to use that, it is available. Spare wheel, rubbish bag if you're free camping, so you can take your rubbish with you. You want to keep the bush nice for everybody else. Coming around to here, and this is our storage bin for our hoses. So in here we have a food grade hose that you plug into the mains and into this bayonet fitting here. Once you've done that, then you've got mains water, water pressure inside. Otherwise, this does have two 100-litre tanks, and you can run a 12-volt pump and have water running if you're off-grid. So, as well as a 100-litre grey water tank. So the grey water tank is this one here. If you have that valve shut, the water will remain in the tank. If you're in a caravan park and you've got the hose that's also in there hooked up and then down their drain, you can open that up so it flows through the tank and exit. But if you're in a national park where you have to keep your grey water tank or keep your water from running on the ground, you just have that switched off and the grey water will go into the tank. Okay, so here we have your cassette for your toilet. So basically, again, always keep them locked for travelling, and that comes out. Empty this, very simple. Lift this latch here because it's latching in down the bottom here. So you lift that up and pull, so that comes past it. Grab the handle here, and then basically pull that up. It's ready to take. It's on wheels, so it's ready to take and empty. To empty it, it's as simple as rotating that handle, take the cap off, pour it into the dump point, hose it out, give it a rinse, put the cap back on, give it a good shake around, empty it again, then put probably about 1 litre of water inside the cassette, and then when you put it in, you just need to add your chemical. I suggest using the chemical pillows, otherwise you can put about 50 millimetres of the blue chemical into that and you're right to go. So that just goes back down and slides back into place. That clicks into place, so it's locked in down here and you're good to go. Again, don't forget to lock it. The key number for this one, because it's a very similar key to the other ones, is 21, and the other key, which looks pretty much the same although it's more worn because it's getting more use, is 014. So that's for all the other containers. Here you've got where you fill up your water, and they do have keys. There's 2 keys here. So the 21 I think is labelled there, and the 21 key fits that one, and then the one beside that fits this one. So they're 2 different locks. That's front tank, that's the rear tank. Okay. Right. Moving down here is the hot water system. So the hot water system is gas electric. It's 2 ways. If you plug the Caravan in, we should get back to that. So where you're going to plug into your mains is you're going to run your lead from here to the power point that you're getting power from, and that will power up the whole van with 240 volt. And the lead for that is in that front box. Moving to here, as again, it's the hot water system. It's gas electric. So when you're plugged into your mains, it will automatically flick over to mains power and work automatically. If you're off grid or you're not on mains power, you can switch that on to gas, and I'll show you how to do that inside when we get to inside. This unit here is a battery power for the breakaway trailer brakes. So if the trailer was to become disconnected from the car while you're traveling, this would apply the brakes on the Caravan. Again, this is just a storage tub all the way through, so there's quite a bit of storage there. And again, we just lock that up. Now there is a light here that's quite handy, and there's also a light, I should say, there's also a light just here on this side. LED light. You wouldn't want to leave it on too long, you'd track the bugs into there. And this light is switched on from inside the van. There's a step here that just simply folds out. And further to that, depending where you're situated, we provide another step just to make it easier to get in and out of, as well as these mats that you can give a shake, get the van nice and clean. So coming into the doorway here, there's a light switch here, and that light switch is just to illuminate this doorstep. So right there at the door, just to make it easier in the night time so you're not on a trip. Grab handles here. There's, well, we're here as well, I guess, so you can see it. There's a fire extinguisher on this side, and then on this side there's a fire blanket, just in case you need it. Hopefully you don't. Inside here is just some camp cooking and a notebook. The door switch, all the light switches are here for the main lights, and that switches on all your inside lights, outside lights, main lights from there. However, on top of that, with lighting, you have additional lighting in all the places you need them. Here, bathroom, beside your bed. So there's plenty of lighting. One really good thing is that you can switch the bathroom light on here with this switch here. But when you go to bed on the other end, if you see just above the bed, there's a light switch there that will turn that bathroom light on and off. But on top of that, if you want to charge your phone, we have 12 volt sockets here if you're running off grid, or if you're running on grid, you've got 240 volt. There's 240 volt beside either side of the bed as well as in the kitchen, and as well as in the bathroom. If you're off grid and you need to use a 240 volt powered device, so it might be a toaster, a hairdryer, curling one, in the bathroom here, these two are for off-grid power only, to give you 240 volt, and they're powered by an inverter, 2000 watt sine wave inverter. So you press this button and you hold it until you hear a beep, a little beep, hopefully you heard it, and the green light stays on. Now if you plug in a device only when you're off grid, if you plug in your device, you'll have 240 watt power here at these 2 points only. So then switch that off when you're finished using it, and you're done. That's your 240 volt. So additionally, while we're on 240 volt, you've got your fan here, your overhead fan, as well as having its own lighting there. So you can switch that off. You have one electric cooktop, and that'll only work if you're on 240 volt. Otherwise, you've got 3 on gas. Okay. If you want to use the oven, it's a gas oven, and it lights just simply with this piezo ignition button and turning that on. But it will not light if you have this and this down. So it'll only light with these up. And the reason for that is there's a cutout switch here for the gas for safety. So the oven won't work unless these are up. And of course you want your fan on so that the van doesn't get too hot. So there's also a griller as well as the oven. On top of that, if you're on 240 volt, you've got your microwave that you can use there. Now, coming down to here, we have a diesel heater. So you can just switch that on here, set the temperature up and down to what you like. And the diesel heater vents down the bottom there, just under the stove. They heat the van up very quickly, only takes sort of 5 minutes or so. So we'll just turn that off until it flashes off. And there is also up here, there's also a remote control fob. So you might want that beside your bed, and that just turns that diesel heater on or off. To fill up the diesel tank, it's inside the front box on the drawbar. Okay, so that's the heating. On 240 volt, you also have air conditioning, full reverse cycle air conditioning. It'll only work if you're plugged into 240 volt. It won't work when you're free camping. The remote control for that is in this cupboard here. So that's the remote, and that lives in the cupboard here. So while we're in the utilities cupboard here, we can get you to bring the camera over here. We have the tank levels here. So if you just press that, it'll generally tell you, so they've got no water in them at all at the moment. Otherwise, they would show you the level. Don't touch anything here. Don't touch anything here. You don't need to. Fuses, if you one was to blow, all the fuses for the whole van are located in this location. Further in here, we have a plain, looks like a light switch here. So that switch is when you're free camping and you want to use the water, you turn that on and you'll hear the pump just prime up, and then you've got running water. If we turn that off, the water will run for a little bit and then stop as the pump stops. So that's for your water, for the pump. This one here is for your gas hot water. So if you wanted to light your gas hot water or switch your gas hot water on, you switch that up and you should hear the gas ignite on the hot water system. So it might take a little bit, and then once it's ignited, then you know you've heard it ignite, you know you're going to have hot water, and that heats up quite quickly. So that's that. Fridge, we have it set to midway. We've had that right up to the top end of Australia in 45-degree days, set to there. I find if you try and make it colder, you're likely to freeze your beers. It gets quite cold. This is a two-way fridge, so this runs either through the batteries on solar, or when you're plugged into 240 volt, it doesn't use gas. So really you shouldn't need to do anything with this, just use it and enjoy. It switches over automatically from one to the other. Moving into this area. The TV travels on the bed, and once you get to your destination, you simply lift that up and slide it into this bracket, and then you can have it either facing into the bedroom or turned around into the living area, depending on what you like. When you go into new areas, you do need to use the remote to tune in. So you just do an auto tune and tune into the local area stations. So that's for that. If you're on 12 volt power, you use the 12 volt plug, and that goes into here. If you're on 240, you can use the 240 volt power, which is plugged in up here, but generally we keep this one located in the cupboard just in the corner here, because we don't often need to use the 240. It's only if we're very long term in one position. So the remote control is also located in the cupboard down here in the corner. Okay. All right, so the other thing you do when you hook your TV up is to put your aerial up, and that's basically just by winding this. It's marked on here, up and down. So basically just put it up. When it's all the way up, you can then adjust or rotate the direction to tune in for better tunes. And then when you go, very important though, when you do that, there's a little arrow here that indicates that the arrow is facing front to back on the van. So when you're folding it down, you want that facing forward so that it's folding down in the right direction. You don't want the aerial to be pointing out the side of the van or pointing backwards to get the wind. You want to ensure that that's pointing forward before you wind it down, wind it back down from having it up. Okay. On the sides here, these Sirocco fans are fantastic. You can rotate them this way and that way, but they're very efficient, and a little switch panel on the side, very efficient, do a great job of keeping this fan cool. We've found with the big windows on the side, you open them up, have these fans going, even in very hot weather, it's still quite comfortable. Okay, so when it comes to storage in this van, there's ample storage everywhere. What we try to do though is keep the load, always keep in mind keeping your load leveled as possible. So your axles are right here in the middle. So you want to try and keep your load either over the axles if it's heavy, or towards the front. You don't want to load up the back, that will give you an unstable van. So what do we have? We have storage underneath both these seats. We also have a cutting board that we keep here. So rather than cut on our benches, please feel free to use a cutting board. Works great as a cheese board. You can take it outside. It just works really well. It normally, once we get to our location, it normally sits here. There's back. Now, inside here, if we pull that out, you can remove this cushion. And inside here, Samantha has every game you could think of. There's a lot of DVD movies in case you get caught in the rain. There's puzzles, plenty to keep you occupied if you have rainy weather. There is a few bottles of water there just for emergency use, just in case. But yeah, this is basically where all the games are kept. But there is still plenty of room for more stuff if you want to put more stuff in there. On this side, I believe there's a battery operated fan that you can use internally or externally. And then under here, there's a couple of cupboards, storage cupboards here. This table is very important. The table folds out. So, you know, when you're at your destination, you pull the table out, put it down like that, it's fine. But for traveling, this table must go back. So that must go back to that position for traveling. Up here, there's some Tupperware containers, things that you can use. Feel free to use everything in the van. The only thing we ask is if something runs out, if it's a consumable, that you replace it if it runs out or getting close to running out, so that the next person still has those products available to them. So there's plenty of cupboards across there, cupboards across the top, cupboards all here. So everything you could think of is already in here. Pots, pans, frying pans, toasters, all the cleaning products, everything you would take yourself is already in here. So really the van is set up so that you bring your clothes, you bring your food, bring your beer, and you're right to go. The same with all the drawers, all your cutlery is there, cooking utensils, barbecue utensils, cling wraps, garbage bags, straws, everything you can think of, mozzie coils. They're all there for you to use. Again, the only thing we ask is if it's just about to run out or runs out, that you just replace the item. In the bathroom, there is located here a washing machine. So generally this tray is good for just putting your gym shoes or whatever else. But you do have a small washing machine here. So I think it's about 3 kilo washing machine. Yeah, it's great, just 2 people, and yeah, you're just keeping up with it. It works fine. Most of the time, if we've got big loads to do, we do it in the caravan park with their coin operating machines. Then all your drawers in here. So there is a little 12-volt hairdryer. There's more storage here. So all your toilet papers and towels and your chemical for your toilet, everything is in there. The shower, we just make sure a couple of things before traveling, that we put the shower head on the base rather than traveling in the top, so it can't jump out and slam on the floor. The other thing we ensure is that the door closes well magnetically. We put this little latch across. Same with the bathroom door. We latch it up the top, and there is a latch at the back here as well. Plenty more storage underneath the bed, so the bed just lifts up. I can show you that now. So it's on gas struts, and there's plenty of storage there. There is, as well as the bed being made, there is another full set of sheets doing a cover underneath. So what we ask there is, when you return the van, you take the clean set, you put it onto the van, and just leave the dirty set here, and we'll look after that for you. But just so long as you return it, it's got a clean set when you pick it up, and so long as you return it with a clean set. So above this cupboard, above the radio, as well as some Soprano DVDs, there's documentation or bookwork, paperwork on all the appliances. So any information you could want is located in that cubby hole here. All right, well, we hope you enjoy your holiday in our van, and any other questions, you'll have my contact details, so feel free to contact me if you have any problems, issues, or questions in general. And happy holiday.